Today's speed paint is a little bit more important than all the others that I posted. I'm going to be drawing some characters that are big childhood favorites of mine that I have held really close to my heart for a very, very long time. And I'm very excited about how this product turned out. So without further ado, let's get into the main video.
I'm on a wave. If you can't match it, get on my face, yeah. Yeah, get on my way, some bitch, don't ruin my day.
This speed paint will consist of me redrawing the cast of characters from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, specifically the 2012 version because that's the version that I always remember watching as a kid. I got up early on Saturday mornings just so I could catch the newest episodes, and even to this day, I'm still very into the show, and even though the fandom has basically died because the show ended, I'm still, keeping up with this show, rewatching clips of it, and drawing these characters. As you guys can tell from the last video, Molly is also actively in this universe, so I felt like I needed to do a little bit of a redraw and show y'all exactly how these characters are portrayed under my eyes, under my hands. So I'm going to go through and describe why I picked some of the design choices that I went for, as well as some of the things that I like and dislike about the show's actual animation style. Now, I was watching some storyboards the other day from when the creators of the show were creating this show, and I saw how much more expressive the storyboards and the sketches for some of the episodes were. But then when the episodes actually came out, the turtles and some of the characters weren't actually that expressive. And I know the turtles don't have eyebrows or certain human features that allow humans to be able to express themselves a certain way, but I'm sorry, they could have done a little bit better with allowing the turtles to express themselves. And it's not just the turtles either. There are some moments, especially in season 1 and 2, where some of the characters, even the human characters or any of the other characters, don't show any emotions in their faces. Like, look at these pictures of April. Look at how bad she looks. There are no thoughts behind those eyes. They're just not being very expressive with her face. Like, the whole thing is that you're supposed to dramatize the expression just a little bit so that it won't look like that the character is just sort of there. Look at this photo that I just found, dog. This is a perfect example. What is that? Look at her face. She doesn't even look scared. Her mouth is just open. I'm being dramatic a little bit, and it got better after this. I will give them that credit. After season 1, I can't explain it because it doesn't look like that she changed that much or that any of them changed that much, but it just got better. Like, they just did a whole lot better after season 1. I wanted to make sure that the one thing about character design is that you're supposed to do a lot of showing and not telling, and that you're supposed to pretty much be able to tell a lot about the character without somebody having to tell you. Now, Leo is the calmest one. His eyes are shaped a certain type of way, and he doesn't have that much covering his body. Like the other turtles, as you will see, will have more bandages and things, covering specific parts of their body. But Leo and Raph don't really have that. They're just sort of out, which, equals more scars on their body from fights and from training, because what I always imagine is that they don't much care about, covering themselves up, and they just care about, jumping into risks, taking a lot of, danger head on. So they just have more scars and less things to protect themselves and to cover themselves up with. I also made sure that Leo and Raph were a little bit more built than Mikey and Donnie, because, it can basically be shown in the show that they train a whole lot more than the other two, and that they take training a little bit more seriously than the other two. So they're just doing a whole lot more moving around, a whole lot more exercising, so they're a little bit more beefed up. Now Mikey has a lot of bandages covering him. Like, there's really barely any places where he's not covered up by something, because he's the little brother. People want to make sure that he's protected, make sure that he's safe, and he wants to make sure that he's safe. He doesn't even want to, risk that. So he's covered up with a lot more bandages, but his mask and his bandages are also just dirty and covered in paint and, pizza stains and other stuff. And he also is a big stickler for customization. So there's a bunch of stickers on him, on his, knee pads and on his little belt and stuff like that. Donnie was the most fun to design. He was the last thing to design. This took me like 3-4 hours to do, and he was the last one to design, but he was the most fun. I made him the lightest colored, and I elongated his eyes. I just made everything about him long. All his features are just long and tall. And he also has goggles on his face, because I like that little feature that they added to Donnie in the Rise version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I really wanted to add that here as well. He also has gloves on his hands, and the places where he's wrapped up are a little bit more strategic. As you can see, he has elbow, shoulder, and knee pads. Alright, onto the humans. I had a lot of fun drawing them actually, so I was also really excited to start talking about them. So obviously, as you guys can clearly tell, I'm biased and I just hate April's design. Like, it's just bad. She's boring. She was boring from the start, and even after season, 4, she's still boring. She still just looks like a girl that's there. Like, she's supposed to be one of the main characters, it seems like, in the Turtles. She's supposed to be the main person that the Turtles are interacting with, and she's supposed to be the golden child that the crying girl is after and everything, but she doesn't look interesting. She doesn't look like anything. She just looks like a girl. She looks like an NPC, and I'm really mad that she looks like that, even though she's supposed to be one of the main characters, and she's supposed to be so special and all this shit. She's the main character that I decided to tweak and, change a lot and just make her look a whole lot more interesting. I redesigned Casey before, not in a video or anything, but I have redesigned him before, but I never actually liked the redesign that I did. So I got a chance in this video to be able to redesign him a little bit better and make him look a whole lot more interesting than I originally made his redesign look. I didn't much change Karai. I did a little bit, but not that much. Not as much as I changed to April, of course, because I always did like Karai's design, but I didn't like her character. I absolutely hate Karai, and I know that's a hot take, and everybody's gonna get mad at me for that, but I don't like her as a character. She's stupid, but I always did like her design. I did, from the day one, I always liked it. So I didn't have much to change for it. I did tweak a few things, but there wasn't much for me to do, so she's just sort of there. I also threw Shinigami in there. She became a very important character around season 4, even though she wasn't a main one. She wasn't even introduced for a really long time, but I really did like her design. I didn't like her character that much either. I didn't like what she brought to the story as much either, but I did really like her design, and I wanted to tweak it a little bit, and I'll explain, all my design choices in just a second here. So with April, I made her hair a little bit curly. As you can see in the show, Kirby's hair is shorter, but it's curlier, even though her mom's hair is straight. So I put her hair in a higher ponytail, and I made it a little bit more wavy. I made her little headband into a little bow instead of just a headband. And I changed her clothes up a little bit. I hated the little, tights under the jeans thing that she always was wearing in like the first, I think 3 seasons. So I really wanted to, change that up. Also, later on, you're going to see that I dyed her hair slightly blonde. I made it yellow at the end to match her mom's hair. I always headcanon that she ended up dyeing her hair after a while to match her mom's. I made Casey's hair longer. I always imagined that for him, that his hair was a whole lot longer, to at least reach his shoulders, and that he has a lot of accessories on his pants and, little ripped jacket thing, a lot of pins and stuff like that. Now you can see it. Now you can see where I dyed her hair. And I also dyed Karai's hair at the tips. I made her hair, blonde as well. As for Shinigami, I always imagined that she was the type of person that didn't actually fight as much as is first seen. So I made her outfit a little bit less, fighting friendly. There's as much armor on it, not as much to protect her. It's more about the aesthetics and about her being pretty and all that jazz. Can I just say that the gold part of her outfit turned out really good on her as well? And there we have it. We have our 4 little turtle boys and our 4 little human folks. Now, before I go, I would like to explain a few more small things that I added to their designs. So, of course, you can see there's scars all over all of them. But Mikey has the least amount of scars, and I mainly focused on adding freckles to him because I saw that he had freckles in the show, but they're not really, accentuated that much. So I added them to the rest of his body a little bit more. Instead of just straight up regular scars on Donnie, I added a few, pink spots to show where he might have burned himself or, accidentally done something like a chemical burn or something like that while he was in the lab. And I also added some, oil spills and dirt spills on his skin as well. He's also the only one that has pockets on his belt so that he can hold multiple items. While everybody else just has, little small spaces where they can put their weapons and other things. He has multiple pockets. Also, all their weapons somehow have their color of choice on it. You can't really see Mikey's that well, but Mikey also has it too. He has a little bit of orange on his nunchucks. Raph has red on his sides. Leo has blue on the handles of his swords. And Donnie just has, a purple slash all across his bow staff. I imagine that the leftover fabric that, came after they made their masks is what they put on their weapons for, customization purposes. Of course, Mikey was more into the customization idea than everybody else. It just went super far, but everybody has a little bit of customization, at least on their weapons. Oh, and one more thing about the scars. I tended to add more scars to their faces, to Leo and Raph's faces, I mean, to symbolize that they get hit in the head a lot, they get scratched in the head a lot. The villains are always aiming for their faces, and they tend to not really block their faces that well whenever they're, in fights. Now, as for them, April has a few scars, but not many. Of course, she was a damsel in distress a lot in the first, seasons, so she got hurt a lot, and, of course, she was saved multiple times, but she always came out of it with a few scars. I meant to put a whole lot of scars on Casey because, just like, Raph and Leo, he jumps into risks and danger head on and just does not care about getting hurt, but I totally forgot to add them. If you remember it back in the sketch, I definitely put some scars all across him, but I just forgot to put them here. Karai definitely has scars all over her body. Don't mistake her. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there. She just is completely covered from head to toe, so you can't really see where her scars are, but she definitely has them. And Shinigami doesn't have any scars because, just like I was telling you, she doesn't actually fight as much as everybody thinks. She just sort of sits there and lets Karai do all the work. Because, like I said before, she's more focused on being pretty and the aesthetics of everything instead of actually fighting. So she doesn't actually get into that many altercations. So she doesn't have any scars on her body to show that. She also has a tattoo on her leg, and I wanted to make that tattoo similar to the little symbol that popped up when they were fighting the purple dragons, and she put one of the purple dragons under that little weird spell thing. I wanted to put that face as the tattoo on her leg, and I just thought a tattoo would really suit her. I don't have too of an in-depth explanation for why she has a tattoo on her, but she definitely does have one. And I think Karai has one too. Like, I think if you could see her skin right now, that she would have a tattoo. I think somewhere on her arm. I imagine that she would have like a dragon tattoo, one of those long dragon tattoos that go all the way up from your shoulder to like your hand. That's what I imagine for Karai. But of course, you can't see her skin, so you can't see it right now. But maybe I'll do another design where you can actually see what her skin looks like without all this armor on her. And that is officially it, guys. We are at the end here. This took me days, at least 3 hours each for each piece, but I do not regret it. The art was arting today, y'all, and this turned out super, super good. The designs came out exactly how I imagined them to come out in my head, and I have redesigned the turtles and the humans before, but I did not like the designs that much, and these designs were a whole lot better. I definitely improved from the last time that I did this. And plus, this show is very close to my heart, and despite all of the, negative things that I was saying right at the start, I don't mean anything by it. I love the show, and I don't have anything against the creators or anything like that. I still watch the show from start to finish, so obviously it didn't affect me that much. I just, as a artist, as a character designer, it always irked me, some of these things, and that's how it is with anything that you love with all of your heart. Some things just irk you about it. So of course it kind of pissed me off, especially April, because I don't like April in general, but I also just never liked her design. But in the end, I love the show with all my heart, and I always have loved it, and probably always will love it for the rest of my life. I will always be in the back of my mind that this show was just a very, very important part of my childhood. So of course I wanted to put in my 2 cents about it, and I wanted to do a little bit of redrawing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it, and I will see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.